In this video, I interview best-selling author of 6 books, Chandler Bolt, about his tips for creating passive income by writing a book, why it doesn't have to be as hard as you may think, and how to establish yourself as an authority ahead of your competitors in your topic, coming up. This video is brought to you by LearnVideo.live, a free 1-hour online training on how to grow a highly influential and profitable YouTube channel this year. To get free access, just go to LearnVideo.live. Hey, what's up guys? Sean here with Video Influencers. Hope you build your influence, income, and impact with online video. And we're here in San Diego at Social Media Marketing World. I'm talking with Chandler Bolt. How's it going?
I'm doing great.
Dude, super pumped to have you on the show. Chandler is the best-selling author of over 6 books, the founder of Self-Publishing School, and really he helps creatives, influencers, and entrepreneurs really build their influence and income by putting out a book. So I'm super excited for this conversation today. But let's take it back. Your company now is huge. You're putting out all kinds of content to help us really, share our message and monetize with books. But you eventually started without all this and everything that's happening. Take us back.
Yeah, so the reason I'm so passionate about books themselves is because writing and publishing a book myself changed my life forever. Now, I know that's a dramatic statement, but it's so true. Now, when I published my first book, I was 19 years old. It was a book called The Productive Person, about how to be more productive as an entrepreneur. Now, this book brought in a few $1,000s a month in passive income for me. And really, the big thing, I always say that a book is like a key that opens the door to Narnia, right? So if you've ever seen Chronicles of Narnia, you know it's this magical land that only exists, in this case, for published authors. So for me, a book was the starting point. It started getting passive income coming in the door. Then started getting leads, helped me grow my business, generate our first $1 million in the first year, and then fast forward to where we are now, which is we've just passed $7 million in the first 3 years. We have a book published just about every single day from someone in the program. And I'm just really passionate because I see people's lives change every time they write and publish that book.
Man, that's incredible. And one of the things we talk about on this channel, there's lots of YouTubers, people using video, and they don't want to just grow their influence, but they also want to monetize that. And this is perfect for that. I actually wrote an ebook years ago, and it was actually one of the ways, YouTube ads, as people know, those don't make any money. Recently, there was this huge demonetization too, where it's affecting all these creators. And so we're always talking about, you need to create other ways to generate income.
Got to diversify.
And you got to diversify, right? And it was actually years ago, I wrote a book called YouTube for Churches. And it was a little EPUB book. I wrote in like Microsoft Word and created the cover. But it was interesting because I noticed it really built my authority. I started getting speaking engagements. All this stuff started happening because I put that book out. Speak to really how a book builds your authority, but also how it creates passive income like it did for you.
Yeah, so I believe, if you're trying to start an online business, and if you've tried, you know how hard it can be. There's all this tech stuff. It's like, I got to get these autoresponders. I got to figure out my website. Oh, WordPress. I don't know how to do that. Like, how do I get all this stuff set up? So for me, it was way easier by just starting with a book. And how the specifics of how that worked is over 70% of all books sold are sold on Amazon. And on top of that, there's hundreds of millions of buyers inside Amazon that have their credit card on file. Now, I always like to say that Google is a search engine of browsers, and even YouTube is a search engine of browsers. Amazon is a search engine of buyers, because I'm only going to Amazon when I buy stuff. So imagine that. People are going there, they're searching for the same things same ways that they would find you on YouTube. They can then find you on Amazon and pay you money. And not to mention, they can come be a subscriber. They can come be a lead for your business, things like that. But you make money off of the books. Amazon handles everything. So they handle the fulfillment, they handle the payment processing, all that. You just get a check, which is pretty nice. So especially when you're first starting, and even if it's just like $100 a month, it's nice to be able to create an asset that years from now is still bringing in $100 a month. One of my employees, his daughter wrote a book at 8 years old, and he said, this was months and months, actually, I think it was over a year or two ago, and he said, she still gets like $250 a month, and the first half of it is hers that she can spend, and the second half goes towards her college fund, right? And she's like 10 years old now. So even she's making, like a decent little bit of income that's still coming in a long time from when she actually did the work.
That is so cool. And, it doesn't necessarily have to be as hard as people think because there's some tools now, even if that's Amazon Create Space, or even again, my book was actually only an ebook. It was about 100 pages. I put a lot of work into it and really put it together nice. I used some tools from Digital Marketer, but nevertheless, it really doesn't have to seem so overwhelming, because I think that's the thing though, right? Man, a book, that is daunting. What's maybe a first small step before maybe writing something shorter, just getting it out there quick, some of the tools you recommend?
Yeah, so it's funny. There's a lot of really helpful tools, but what I found is that most people get so lost in the tools that they don't actually write their book. So there's things like Google Docs, there's Scrivener, which is a really cool tool. It's just really hard to use. And so if you're going to be a career writer, you might want to try that, but don't do it for your first book. A couple specific tools that I use. Number one is a mind map. So you probably do this when you're creating videos, is take the general idea and in the center of a blank sheet of paper, then map out everything that you can think of on that idea, and then you transition that into an outline, and then that helps you write the book much easier. So for me, it's analog. People will even say, hey, there's these really cool mind mapping tools, and I'm like, I don't want to use them because it slows me down. The tech, it doesn't always come easy for me. I would imagine, well, you're a YouTuber, so maybe it comes pretty easy for you. But it just really speeds up the process when you have that mind map, and when you can do the mind map before writing, because all I care about for you is getting your rough draft finished as fast as possible, because that is when I found people start to believe that they can actually do this.
Wow.
So it's like the light turns on, they see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that writing and finishing this book is possible.
That's awesome. Now, one of the other things that books do is really build your authority, right? And again, like I mentioned, I put out a book, and all of a sudden now people are like, oh, you must be an authority on the topic, so it led to other things. We're here at Social Media Marketing World, and I know that Michael Stelzner, when they're thinking about speakers, they a lot of times want the speaker to have written a book because it shows that they've organized their knowledge.
100%.
It shows that they've really thought through something. They have a piece of content that is really positioning them as an authority. So I really want to encourage you in the influencers community that no matter what your niche is, we have people that do sewing, we have people that do gardening, we have people that are teaching business, taxes, tech, that having a book, an ebook, having something out there can actually lead. If you want to get on podcasts, you want to get on stages, you want to do all these things. Have you seen books open doors?
Oh, 100%. That's what the literal door to Narnia, right? It's speaking, it's podcasts, it's this whole world that I didn't know existed, but that, like I said, only exists for published authors. And yes, here at Social Media Marketing World, that's what they said. That's the reason they got me to come here and speak, is because they said, we so believe in this that it's a filter.
Yeah.
If you've been disciplined enough to write down what you know in a book, then you're probably going to bring the goods. You're probably going to be a good speaker, and we believe in you, and we're willing to bring you here to speak to our audience. So I found that that's just it kind of is a foot in the door in a lot of places for a lot of things.
That is awesome. Well, Chandler, are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes, let's do it.
Ooh.
Well, my last name's Bolt, so that's pretty weak.
There
actually.
you go.
It's a lightning bolt. I like to think that it's the sound of me running.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not actually.
I love it. Coffee or tea?
Oh, for sure, coffee.
Cat or dog?
Dog. Not even close.
We got 2 Chihuahuas. What do you got?
I don't have a dog right now. I'm single, and I'm living the bachelor life,
Okay.
and I travel a lot. So that poor dog wouldn't get neglected. But I had a border collie growing up.
NYC or LA?
NYC.
Last song you had on repeat?
Pumped Up Kicks, but that's not true. It's just a lot of Foster the People that I can't pay the man.
One book you recommend every influencer watching should read for building their influence?
Influenced by Robert Cialdini. Hands down, the best marketing book I think I've ever read.
Classic. Now, if you could only have one tool or weapon during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
It would be a knife. Just because a gun, you run out of bullets.
That's true.
I mean, that's kind of a lame answer, but
You got your knife, though. I mean, whatever.
I'm an Eagle Scout, so I could probably
got some other skills. You can do a lot with a knife. Yeah. Is there a failure or a setback that sets you up for future success in your life, and do you have a favorite failure?
So many. So this is one of my company's core values: fail fast, fail forward, fail often. The biggest failure I can think of is I showed up to my company retreat and found out from one of my employees, my business partner was trying to kick me out of my business.
Wow.
So we went through mediation. I bought him out for multiple 6 figures, and that was like kind of a big low point for me.
Yeah.
Also, there was one time where all my bank accounts were negative when I was trying to launch self-publishing school.
Wow.
I'd borrowed $15,000 from friends and family. So there's been a lot. Those are just a couple big ones.
What'd you learn?
A lot of things. Don't partner out of insecurity. So don't get a business partner just because you don't think you can do it yourself. That was a big lesson learned. I learned I needed to invest in marketing and learn the skill of marketing, because if my business wasn't getting customers, so I need to learn marketing and sales, because if I can get customers, I'll never be broke, I'll never be out of a job.
And finally, one of your favorite Netflix shows.
Ooh, Silicon Valley and The Profit, and these are all lame business examples.
Sure.
I'm kind of like a business nerd. Those are a couple of my favorites. Also Narcos, because I think in another life I would have been a drug dealer.
Yeah, you probably would have crushed it, man. All your
It's like
business
very
skills.
similar to business.
Sure.
So if you look at John D. Rockefeller, I was reading John D. Rockefeller's biography at the same time I was watching Narcos. Very similar, actually, how they built wealth. It was a consumable that the economy was addicted to. It was highly volatile markets. Like I could go on for a long time.
That's crazy.
But there's a lot of similarities in dealing drugs and business, actually.
Yeah, lightning round. Choo, 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 choo. Let's talk really quick about your process. Now, we want to link to, of course, your resources. We'll get to that. But you actually help people with Self-Pub School to publish their own book and really have this happen. And I could see the big need for that, because I know how brutal it was to try to figure everything out on my own. And I actually invested in a lot of training to even do that. Nothing like what you've created. So speak a little bit to your process and how people can get involved.
Yeah, so our process is taking people from no idea or blank page to published author in 90 days. Now, we work through the writing, through the marketing, through the publishing, all those things. There's 3 unique ways that I feel like we help people and add value to their life. We save them a ton of time, so hundreds of hours in the process. We save them a ton of money in the process, so whether it's book covers, editors, things like that. And then thirdly, we make them a whole lot more money with their book by marketing it successfully, positioning it successfully, having a good cover, having a good title. All of these things are super important, and so many people screw this up if they just don't have a little bit of guidance. So that's kind of how we help people.
That's awesome. Where's all that information?
Yeah, so you can go to self-publishingschool.com /free. We have some free training there. You can learn a lot, kind of like my process to get started, as well as you'll be able to find out some info on Self-Publishing School there.
Very, very cool. And then how about you on social media? Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook pretty much only. I'm like super old school millennial, right? So I don't have Snapchat, I don't have Instagram, I don't have Twitter, it's just Facebook.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll put links to everything in the description below. Finally, as an entrepreneur, you mentioned you've had ups, you've had downs, you've had tough times, and I think every influencer watching knows that, it can be hard you get discouraged. You put out some content, it doesn't get very many views. You think something's going to work, it doesn't. Could you just share a final few thoughts to influencers watching about pressing through those hard times to get to the goal?
100%. Do not listen to anything that anyone says to you that is negative about your capabilities. Now, this is like raw motivational stuff, I know, but it's so true, because when I decided to drop out of school, I was tired of learning how to run a business from professors who had never ran a business. Now, I had people call me that were family friends that I hadn't talked to them in years and telling me that I shouldn't drop out and I was making a bad decision. I've had people say those kind of things along the way all the time, and you just can't listen to them. Whether they're your family, whether you're friends, they don't know your vision. A lot of times they can't respect your vision because they can't put it in a box that they've seen be successful. So my brother's a very successful musician, plays in the Grammy-nominated rock and roll band Need to Breathe, and he told me when I was growing up, he said, everyone told me, why don't you go get a real job and stop doing music? Do something that can actually make money. And now he's having the last laugh, playing sold-out stages around the world. They did 82 shows with Taylor Swift. Like, he's done these huge tours, and they're a very successful band, all because he didn't listen to the people in our small town that told him that he couldn't be successful with music. So you're creative, right? You're doing YouTube stuff. You're a YouTube influencer. You probably hear that kind of stuff from people all the time. Don't listen to it. Keep pressing on, and you'll make it.
Dude, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Influencers, subscribe if you're not subscribed. And if you want to check out another video in our social media marketing world series, just click or tap the screen over there, or another video for video influencers. You can click or tap the screen over there as well. Until next time, this channel is all about helping you build your influence, income, and impact with online video. Keep crushing it, and we will talk soon.